We are on the lunch break on the second day of questioning of the undercover police officer, Robert Hastings, who used the cover name Rob Harrison to infiltrate State of Emergency, No Borders Network, International Solidarity Movement, Rampart Social Centre. He also partook in the horrific sexual abuse of Maya. This morning we have been shown a lot of his emails, or the emails between him and Maya. I'm joined off screen by Alison and Jessica from Police Spies Out of Lives. What have you made of what we've heard this morning?
What an absolute fucking bastard. Basically, yeah, it's really hard. I don't think I've ever sat in the public gallery with the feeling like there has been sort of today. It's the things that he says, the reaction that everybody has. We were told yesterday sort of not to make any kind of comments or anything, it's really difficult. It is difficult because when he says the things that he says, there's gasps, there's obviously people are really angry and that, but he started off sort of straight away when, the first question, he came out sort of like out of the traps being an asshole. The way that he speaks to her, to Sarah Hemingway, the attitude that he has, the way that he's like dismisses what she says, and he's, even his response is to say, well, have you got a response to that? Where's my response to that? He's just the most obnoxious, unbearable piece of shit I think that I've had to listen to, and that's well, yeah. I say I was trying not to do these things. I swear a lot. That's my trauma response and stuff. But this fucking bastard, absolutely despise him. And
I think that's quite generous, actually. I think obnoxious and a bastard is actually quite generous. I think he's malevolent. There's a chill in the room. He's dark and sinister, and I feel like undercover operatives ought to be surveying him over the next year or so, because I feel like he is going to take this out on some woman who's going to come in a little bit. It really gives me the creeps in the way that, I mean, Shitface Coles gave us the creeps, and none of them have been pleasant to watch or listen to. But this one is like it's like if you saw David Carrick or someone, do you know what I mean? Like on the stand, at some point earlier before we knew what he did. The everything is about him. There's that, the Darvo, the deny, the classic tactic of a domestic abuser, deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. That's what he's doing all of the time. And the other thing that he's doing all of the time is this was a relationship, obviously a problematic relationship, he says. But, there were two people in this and both of us were suffering. It was mutual. It was a bit earlier on where he was asked about the power imbalance. And he said, well, it was asymmetrical. It was an asymmetrical relationship. And when pushed to say, did Maya have any power at any point? He said, yes, I think towards the end of the relationship, she did. He's denying that he knew that she was brought up Christian. He's denying that he knew anything about her moral code. You just have to know her for about, I don't know, half a day to know she's a woman grounded in morality. He seems not to be able to know. He didn't know that, and he cannot remember anything. Not a thing. Cannot recall. I don't want to be flippant, but typically it is how we manage so much of this darkness is with humour. But I've said to you I just feel like I'm watching Hannibal Lecter. I just feel like, without the mask on, I feel like I'm watching a proper. I'm no psychologist, and I don't know really the difference between a sociopath and a psychopath. But I feel like a psychopath might kill someone, and I feel that's what he is. I feel like he's a proper psychopath, and he is. The only hope we can have with this, the only kind of upside of it, is that he's not doing himself any favours. I think everyone can see through him. I think the judge sees through him. I think Sarah Hemingway sees through him. I think that, I just the question comes back to me, which I did think with Lambert, and I know with Jenna, and I suppose with all of them, is like, how were they ever charming? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, how did the difference that they must have I don't know. I'm a bit in shock, to be honest. I'm quite in shock from listening to him, and it just, again, and I know we say it every time, but it speaks to that institutionalized misogyny in the Met. And he had a wife and kids, and they are victims of that same institutionalized misogyny. And I mean, today has all been about the relationship, so that's what we're talking about. But yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit in shock.
Yeah, I think I'm in shock as well. I mean, it is so shocking. I mean, he is acting like I think he thinks he's in family court. He's constantly going, oh, well, both sides, and like blaming her, basically, essentially. Appalling.
Yeah, I mean, he said, as they're reading out like the emails from Maya, where she's talking about sort of, harming herself, and it's clear that it's a release sort of for her from what she's feeling, that because of the things that he's done, the text, the manipulation, and when she's the text that comes sort of all through the night, where she has to reply, because if she doesn't reply sort of instantaneously, then the more texts come, you're fucking someone else, you're with someone else. And it was the climate that she was living in was one of the of coercive control, of manipulation, of fear, because he was saying, I mean, as we've heard him say today, he sees himself as the victim. He always, it's like, yeah, well, what about me? At one point, where she made a reference in an emails to white boy cookies and cream or something, and you would think that he's been sort of properly racially abused, the way that he was sort of saying.
He's also when you say about the family court, he feels like he's presenting as if he is in a criminal court as well, or that he is somehow, because he's not. He's here to give evidence of his deployment and what he did during that deployment. He's not giving anything, because all he does, if he's questioned about anything, he says, well, have you got the evidence for that? Have you got the email for that? Have you got the example for that? He's not saying, well, yeah, okay, that's what that says, or being asked a question, said, well, I remember it this way, or I remember it that way. Everything that he's saying is linked to. He will only concede anything if it's linked to a piece of evidence that's put before him. So actually, I don't know why they're bothering. I mean, except to humiliate him. I don't really know why they're bothering asking him any more questions, because he's just going to either concede or not what's put before him. And it's irrelevant because it's there anyway. I mean, Maya's account is obviously truthful, and all the other evidence from Atif Chowdhury and other witnesses before are obviously authentic and obviously true. So he's not giving anything at all. I mean, others have. Other officers, however revolting they may have been, they have told a story, whether it's true or not. They've given it a go. Do you know what I mean? Whereas he is giving nothing.
Yeah, absolutely nothing. There's one section where there was a 6-page email from Maya to him where she details the fact that she was raped. She talks about the self-harm. She goes through so much detail about how distressed she is. He says, oh, it didn't register at the time. He replied to this email and he said, well, I didn't address it in the email, so I can't comment about all these things in the email. I didn't register at the time. He essentially claims basically he didn't read it, that he wasn't aware. It's like... He claims not to have knowledge that she was raped until much later.
He's trying to manipulate us or the judge. He's trying to manipulate the inquiry. I don't think it's going to work, but he is trying to do that. Even with saying, well, I didn't register at the time, but I'm looking at it now, and this is horrible. This is awful. This is really bad. As I say, I've got no words. I mean, I seem to have found quite a lot, but it's just the most appalling thing so far. It's my flesh is crawling.
I think, as I said during the last phase of the inquiry, I feel like we've crescendoed at the inquiry with just one of the worst human beings I've ever come across. I feel deeply tainted just from being in the room and spending time with him and listening to him come out with his absolute bullshit. I mean, he keeps when he's presented, when a question is presented to him, there's some evidence put in front of him. There's a question. He just like goes, well, it appears from what I see here that, and then just talks through what's on the evidence. He gives no. When he's like pushed on it, he gets really angry and was like, kind of, as I've said, it says here. We're getting nothing from him. I mean, what we are getting from him is a sign of his character and the sign that he clearly is a very angry person who got very jealous, who would lash out. And as you say, I think he is a danger, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly can't seem to keep a lid on the contempt that he seems to feel for Sarah Hemingway, in the fact that, you know, there's a woman asking him the questions. You know, does she not know who he is? You know, the audacity of this uppity woman asking him questions, and that, you know, he can't manage to keep a lid on that. You know, he's actually, yeah. So he's doing a terrible job for himself, you know, but I don't think you can hide a personality like that. You know, he is, you know, I mean, what he did to it's domestic abuse, you know, it's coercive control, it's manipulation, it's gaslighting, you know, it's all of the things that, you know, we know probably more about today than we did. I mean, I forget, it's not hugely long ago, but, you know, I mean, and we'll be hearing again this afternoon. I mean, that's not, you know, it's bad enough what we've heard, but then when we go back in, we go back in this afternoon and we will hear about the fact that, like, he left her like 7 years later, comes back to, you know, still sort of to groom her again. You know, she's in a relationship, so he sets about destroying that relationship, promising her, you know, the house, the marriage, and the kids, which, you know, news to Maya this morning and to everyone, apparently he had a vasectomy. You know, he was promised. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if that's true. No. I mean, I don't want to see the scars, but, you know, the medical report would cover that. But, you know, so he comes back, he destroys her life all over again, and then has sex with her once, and then disappears. She never seen. This is the first time she's seen him again since. You know, it's like this. You know, there is something wrong. There's something wrong with this bloke, and like you say, you know, he's a danger. And sitting in the room with him and listening to the way that he skips around, you know, quite straightforward questions, and, you know, yeah, he's vile. He's absolutely vile.
We always say it's the worst one yet. I mean, he is the worst. Like I said, we've said it already, the worst human being.
He makes Mark Jenner look like quite a decent bloke, doesn't he? Out for a pint with him.
Jesus Christ.
Do you know what I mean? No,
Yeah.
Really. I mean, some of them did, you know, they were, you know, as I said to you before, Jenner, all right, bit of a sexist, racist cop, but, you know, not this. Like, you know, to see all of the things, all of the terrible things. But this is another level, I really. Oh, they're back for lunch.
Back for lunch. There is so much more to come. We will be back at 2:15 is the hearing meant to restart this afternoon. That means the broadcast will start at 2:25. I totally understand if you don't want to tune in. It will be horrible. It will be incredibly horrible. It's been horrible already. It is going to get worse. He is the most objectionable human being possible. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, just second that. He's the most awful. The most awful human being. Yeah.
I fucking hate him, man. I fucking hate him. It is so horrible following this. It's so fucking horrible. It's really just so disturbing.
Well, actually, one thing that I will say is I'm sat next to Maya, and I have got absolute respect for the way that she is. The way that she is just listening to this stuff. This is the hardest stuff to listen to. You know, it's so hard. I know, to sit there and listen to these bastards lie, and, you know, to sit there and stuff. I mean, you know, respect to her. You know, she is one of the sweetest people, that, you know, most genuine people, and she's just, you know, love her to bits, and that makes it all the more difficult, you know, knowing what she's like, and then listen to this piece of shit. Yeah, fuck him, absolute bastard.
Absolutely, yeah. Love and solidarity to Maya. She's incredible. Just had a comment. We'll listen again to the hearing and there's just a link there to the hearings. The link for this afternoon. It's a different link to this morning. Yeah, please do tune tune in if you're able to stomach it, quite frankly. Thanks for joining us. I'll do another update during the afternoon break and at the end of the day. We've got 2 more days of we're a day and a half left of this. It's going to be hard work. Thanks for joining us. I understand if you don't want to